So thanks for joining, and I would like to start with an apology. The name of the title is a bit dramatic. It's not shown here, but in the agenda it shows prevent or die. So nobody's going to die here, but hopefully actually that we're going to bring some relief by showing you that we truly have a good plan for prevention. So my name is Dedi Shindler. I'm the head of product management for Check Point cybersecurity products. Within that portfolio, we have products for threat prevention for various vertical, mobile, endpoint, cloud, network. And today, we're going to speak about threat prevention, why is it important, the differences to detection and remediation. Feel free to stop me for any questions you have. We have 30 minutes. It's pretty challenging, so hopefully we're going to get to the most of the content. So according to the latest World Economy Global Risk Report, you can see the trend of the number of vulnerabilities that had been discovered since 99. CVE details and MITRE details. You can see clearly the spike in the last 3 years or so. Any ideas of the reasons? Money? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. IoT and some new verticals that now are being exposed. Well, clearly you had it all. So those are the points that we've identified, and there are no wrong or right answers, but clearly there are three main points. Digital transformation, the fact that today you can, in a click of a button, transact money or buy a product and make it ship to your house. Or even better, you can take a mortgage without actually appearing in your local bank branch. That's the latest that I've heard. It means that with those services, we are more dependent on data than we use in the past, and data is more exposed. So clearly, it makes hackers more tempted to do those hacks. New attack vectors, you mentioned that. I mean, if you look 10 years back, we didn't have IoT. Mobile wasn't that popular. Clearly not in organization, employees. So the landscape has changed. And today, employees can get to their corporate resources with many tools and verticals. So that's opened up new verticals to be attacked. And last one is monetization. So today there's economic behind cyber attacks. You can download toolkits that can help you create new attacks, and there's a clear revenue, or at least more than ever. It is now easier than ever to manufacture, execute, and generate income from malicious attacks. So, and despite the growing risk, most organizations are not protected because they're not necessarily using the appropriate strategy. What we would show is that using that prevention is the right strategy, and that detection and remediation is not enough. So, what we're going to lay out in the next in the next 30 minutes is our strategy, or the way Check Point is looking into prevention, and how do you or can you win the battle against advanced cyber attacks. So threat prevention is not easy. And that's why many organizations actually compromise and use detection and remediation. And there are a few main challenges. The first one is intelligence. Intelligence is about the ability to anticipate predict and prevent upfront zero-day attacks. And what is zero-day? Zero-day is impactful or useful once an exploit had been identified and before a patch or fix had been delivered. Through that time, it needs to be able to propagate as fast as possible to get the most impact. So threat intelligence is key here, because if you have a good threat intelligence in place and you have a lot of sensors that can quickly identify threat characteristics and propagate that data across the different vertical as soon as possible, then you can mitigate those attacks. So intelligence is one important key point. The second one is false positive and accuracy. False positive is annoying, and if you use a low-level security system, you'll have a lot of them, and you lose credibility. In many cases, customers they just shut down their prevention system because of that. So that's an important point. And the last one is remediation. So basically, remediation is useless once an attack had been penetrated to your network, because it's a matter of seconds until it spreads out. So, and remediation, you need to invest in SOC analysts and in usually skill sets and time that most of organizations cannot afford themselves, and that is why remediation is a challenge as well. So I hope that by now, well, we have a sense of why prevention is important. Let me walk you through a plan and the guiding principle for a proper prevention strategy. The basis of an effective protection against cybersecurity is composed, the way we see it, out of three key principles. The first one is intelligence, second, prevention, and the third one is consolidation. Let's deep dive into each one of those key elements. So let's remind ourselves that intelligence is key to the unknown, 0 days, and unknown attacks could be successful as long as they first have not been discovered. So an exploit or a threat is not yet known. So regular security system like antivirus or signature-based can still don't know about it. And once they have been known, and before system had been patched, the propagation of those threats is in many cases dependent on intelligence system. So if your intelligence system is efficient, is quick, is smart, and can propagate the information, unknown threats can be mitigated. So for a robust threat intelligence system, well, first, threat intelligence deemed to be very dynamic. Why is that? Because attack vectors constantly evolve. We said IoT, we said mobile, cloud. Attackers will constantly innovate and advance their technology, and the internet is a good way to collect data, information, samples, and to get yourself advanced in hacking. And we keep uncovering new vulnerabilities. So it is an endless battle where intelligence constantly need to be updated in order to come up with a good cohesive system. Now, two main in order to have a robust threat intelligence, you need to have two main key elements which are strong enough. One is the ability to build a unified picture that is based on information and data points that had been collected across different verticals. So a good intelligence system can collect IOCs from mobile, from email security system, from firewalls, from cloud, because this helps to identify campaigns ahead of time. The second is artificial intelligence. So AI is key in order to anticipate attacks. Human analysts, they're good, they're key, but at the end of the day, when you have an enormous size of data, when you need to compare a lot of data points, you'll have to have a system that teach itself and do things automatically. So AI is going to be used in this presentation a lot because we use a lot of artificial intelligence algorithms in our systems to be able to discover, anticipate, and identify new attacks and campaigns. Checkpoint Threat Cloud is our name for threat intelligence system. And few facts about our system. First, it's the largest cyber threat intelligence database out there. It leverages artificial intelligence to anticipate threats and attacks and to uncover new vulnerabilities, those that are still unknown. It handles 86 billion transactions and it inspects 4 million files a day. It gathers intelligence. We have around 100,000 customers that we gather information and IOCs from using various different products in our portfolio. And we complement that huge database with analysts that, and I believe that Checkpoint has one of the largest analyst teams in the industry that are constantly, daily working and to enrich our database and to add some, data or wisdom that still is hard to automate. Principle number 2, prevention. So in a world where threat prevention of known malware and attacks is commodity, so attackers knows what is known and what is not. Today, the easiest thing is to just load a new file and see if, for web-based signature engine, and see if it's had been discovered or not. Clearly, that the challenge and what threat prevention need to focus on is the unknown, the ability to discover or on the next malware family, the next vulnerability, and efficiently prevent zero-day attacks allows us, first, to keep the bad guys out, but second, to reduce a lot of the load on SOC analysts. Because in many cases, especially in large organizations, SOC analysts will always be needed. But with a good threat prevention systems, you can reduce a lot of the load from those analysts and reduce the investment that you need to put into those teams. So Checkpoint Threat Prevention is powered by over 60 engines. Some of them known for known threats, some are for unknown threats. Just to go through some of them, CPU level inspection, for example, is an engine we have that is able to identify threats that are using a method called ROP that is being used by hackers to bypass CPU-embedded security defenses. If you take threat emulation and threat extraction is Checkpoint sandboxing. Combined with threat extraction, and I'll speak more to that use case, we are able to block some advanced threats using threat emulation. Anti-bot, as an example, is being used to identify infected hosts and to block any command and control traffic in and out of your organization. Anti-execution. anti-exploits detect a runtime program exploits on endpoint, preventing malicious code from running. So let's get closer into some of the cool technology which I'm very proud to speak of that had been released recently. Again, you're gonna hear a lot about AI. The first one is pretty unique. I haven't heard of using NLP to be able to identify threats. So for those who doesn't know, NLP stands for natural language processing. It's the ability to, it's being used in the industry as a technology designed to analyze text, understand their language, what they're trying to express. And if you think about it, active code, in a way, is similar from the fact that it has, and when I'm saying active code, I'm meaning, active content that is recited, executables, macros, active content inside objects, embedded objects in document. They also have a structure. They have context, and most importantly, intent. So what we've done is we've taken Threat Cloud with a huge, enormous size of samples that we have from the industry, and we've created two new languages. One is benign, one is malicious. So our NLP engine, and actually this NLP engine is something been built by Google to be able to identify, to build bots. Bots that can serve salespeople and customers. And we use that for our purpose. And I have to admit, this is cool technology. It's being used today in production systems, and is able to identify malicious code by using NLP. So cool stuff. The next engine that we have, malware DNA. In many cases, hackers doesn't really build. They don't build it from scratch. So if they want to build malicious content, in most of the cases, they add some new code on top of malwares that had been discovered in the past. Now, where does it serve us? Because we've built an AI system that is able to identify the characteristics of malicious content. The characteristics means it takes subsets of the codes. It builds a family and actually ancestor tree, and it's able to realize if your code is inherent from other malicious content out there in the industry. So we don't need to compare hash codes or behavior. What we do is to apply our AI engine to be able to discover those similarities, and by that we can say if this is malicious content or not. This allows us to increase prevention as well, important additional intelligence, both for Threat Cloud and for SOC analysts who would like to use this data. Let's talk about zero-day prevention for web download. Most of us download files from the internet as part of our day-to-day job. So you can't really prevent that. The only engine out there that can, in a high level of accuracy, identify and prevent malicious content is Sandbox. But even the most powerful sandboxes out there, and Checkpoint does have one, it takes up to 3 minutes in some cases to emulate and to identify malicious content within files. So what usually customers do is that they block it, and what they do is just use detection. But you can't really detect and remediate a file that had been downloaded from the internet, because as opposed to emails where maybe customers do have the patience to wait up to 3 minutes for a file, in the web it has to happen in a few seconds. So So that system doesn't apply. And checkpoint solution for that is a combination of our threat extraction and threat emulation engines. So checkpoint threat extraction is a CDR technology, and for those who are not familiar with it, it's content disarm and reconstruction technology to remove macros, embedded object, and active content, and deliver a clean version of a file. So it doesn't do any analysis. It just, if it finds active content, it just removes it. So you get to, in a matter of 1.5 seconds, you get a clean file. At the background, at the same time, this file is being sent to our threat emulation system, where it does inspection of that file. Now, if for some reason, usually this is rarely, a user wants to have the original file, he press a link and he can get that file if it had been benign, defined by the sandbox. Yeah. Usually not. It depends on the type of the file. If it's Word documents and you'll get a PDF version instead. So basically, you won't lose any of the content. In some cases, like Excel sheet, spreadsheets and stuff, then yeah, that might be the case. In those cases, you would always be able to use the original, get to the original content if it was emulated. But that's going to happen only after the sandbox out. But this is a rare case based on our experience. And most of the vendors, they either have CDR solution or threat emulation. For web downloads, this is pretty unique. So what you get with it is maximum prevention because it passed through sandboxing. No productivity impact because initially you get the file pretty quick. And maximum intelligence and reporting because we do use those the information we got from those files to enrich our threat intelligence systems. Couple more engines that we are using as part of our threat prevention strategy. First one is campaign hunting. Campaign hunting is trying to mimic the way that analysts work. So what analysts do is that once they incriminated or identified a malicious intent, they try to find the origin. Once they find the origin, then they can incriminate other content that comes from that origin. So just take as an example, if we've identified a certain domain that had been registered and is malicious, if we can get to the institute that had registered that domain, we can incriminate basically all domains that had been registered by that domain, by that institute. And what we've done is that we've mechanized that process, and we can do that automatically. The result is today more than 10% of the attacks that we block today are based off of this approach, the campaign hunting approach. Another engine we have is the Huntress, and the purpose of this engine is to uncover malicious executable. The tricky part with malicious executable is that executable can do anything. They're legitimate actually once they're been executed. So how do you know if upfront before it runs if it's malicious or not? What we do is Huntress is an AI engine that is able to we took a lot of the samples we have in Threat Cloud, we run it through threat emulation. This engine is able to collect and identify all the characteristics and properties and parameters along with those executables, and then apply them automatically of every new executable that we get as a new one. The result, 13% of the malicious executables we detect today are based on this algorithm. The third engine is Cadet, which stands for context-aware detection. And I'll need to be really quick here because I have only 5 minutes. But this engine is leveraging the fact that Checkpoint has visibility to the entire flow of traffic, of organization traffic. Because we do have firewalls in the network, we have cloud engines, we have email security, we have endpoint and mobile. That fact gives us an advantage to inspect elements not only in the context of a certain vertical, but actually in the full context of the system. The third principle is consolidation, and consolidation addresses the need to unify, to have a unified system under one platform that has the capabilities that we described for threat intelligence and prevention. And why is that important? Two main elements. One is security-wise, because we have already learned that importance of shared intelligence and the ability to work across different vectors. The second one is operationally, because unified management and architecture reduces the complexity and minimize the time and the effort that needs to be invested in management, deployment, troubleshooting, and running your security assets. Infinity is Checkpoint unified platform for maximize prevention. It combines the power of shared threat intelligence and threat prevention engines with security architecture that uniformly prevents attacks across attack vectors. So we have products for the cloud, we have products for mobile, we have our advanced threat intelligence systems. You probably are familiar with our Sandblast agent for the endpoint systems, a mobile network, and unified management. So Infinity helps organizations to deliver agile yet secure IT, which can adapt to the dynamic changes of business requirements. All Infinity components are based on the same common software platform. It is controlled and monitored by the same management system and share the same threat intelligence. It means that security, policy, monitoring, prevention is consistently updated and applied. I'll keep to some of the content and leave some time for well, maybe just to mention a couple of. Our system is proven by third parties and NSS for the third year in a row. We are #1 in block rate. We have the highest security effectiveness score, and 19 times since 2010 we've been elected as recommended. So to summarize, 3 main key principles: intelligence, and Checkpoint has the world's most powerful threat intelligence system. Prevention, with a large size of engines that help to prevent the known and unknown threats. And consolidation through unified architecture, which is Infinity. So appreciate the time, and if any questions, I'll be more than happy to use the time we have for answers.
Hey, Dedi, how you doing?
Hello.
Thank you very much. I'm sure this is heavy stuff. If you have any questions, do you have another session after this?
No, but what I do recommend is that most of the content that had been described here is demoed in our expo. So feel free to go to the tables. We have so many demos that can show a lot of those capabilities. You can follow up there.
Thank you, Dedi. So round of applause for Dedi here. I pronounced it right? Dedi, right?
Dedi, yeah.